Hello, everyone. My name is Steele Haugen. This is my brother, Clint Haugen. A little bit about ourselves. Starting a podcast. I have experience in some media and editing and passion for sports. And occasionally is his punching bag, and I'll let him introduce himself. But pretty much just people who love MMA and love sports and want to talk about it.
Howdy, folks. My name is Clint Haugen. I am a writer and an MMA fighter. And today we're going to be talking UFC. So if you're a UFC fight fan, we're covering the UFC Fight Night, which was Perez versus Taira.
But before we get into that, we're going to talk big MMA news first. We're going to go what's been talked about. Of course, Conor McGregor, injury, Chandler, pushback.
No surprise.
That was a big thing. But then, of course, you have the Warriors, you have the Samurai, Yuri Prohashka versus Alex Pereira headlining that. And then you got Carlos Ulberg, Australian, which I am very hyped on as a middleweight, taking on
He's fighting Anthony Smith.
That's
the Lionheart.
Is that it?
Yeah.
So it's light heavyweight then Carlos Ulberg.
But that's not even the co-main. The co-main is Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez.
Yes, which we can get to see. I mean, the return of Ortega, which he inactive for a while, so it's always fun to see Ortega, whether he's going to win or lose, or whether you like him. It's pretty fun to at least watch his type of fight.
Have you seen the clip where he talks about how eagles,
yes,
at the 40-year mark, they have to like shed their beaks, they get too dull, something like that, so they actually have to break off their own beaks in isolation and talons and wait for them to regrow?
That is all fake, and he got clowned on hard.
Everything is fake. I don't care. I think it was obviously symbolic for what he feels like he's been going through. So I feel like people are already overlooking Ortega a lot, like people were doing to Holloway versus Gaethje what is that, about a month or so ago now? UFC 300. When was UFC 300?
Yeah, about a month ago, I'd say, around there.
I think Pereira headlined that one, and now he's headlining 303.
303, yep, that's big news there. And then, of course, Ian Gary and
MVP.
and Michael Venom Page from Bellator. That reign coming over in his second UFC fight, so that's exciting. Other upcoming big news you can think of on the top of your head.
Mike Perry stepping in for Mike Tyson to fight Jake Paul, and I hope it's real. I hope it's a real fight, and I hope Mike Perry lays hands on the guy.
Yeah. And then, I guess big UFC stuff. I can't think of anything on the top of my head.
They announced Adesanya versus Duplessis.
Yes,
that's Perth.
Huge. In Perth.
Oh, is that where it is?
In Perth, I believe. Yes. Yeah, Bobby Knuckles is going to fight soon, too, as well.
I got Adesanya by KO against Duplessis.
It will be interesting. It'll be, I don't know who I'm going to root for by the time that fight comes, but it'll be a fun one, no doubt. All right, now back to the previous fight card.
It was the 15th.
The 15th. So Saturday, free fight in the Apex, I believe. Let's just go thoughts on smaller venue in the Apex with actually just a lot of smaller fighters.
Yeah, I'm so sick of the Apex. I feel as entertainers, as fighters, part of the atmosphere and part of the whole deal of fighting is you have an audience. You perform for people, not just people on TV, but people in a stadium that have paid to watch you. So I can't believe they're still doing fights in the Apex. I think the UFC has to get out of there. I know some fighters and coaches in the UFC likes it, and it probably saves the UFC a lot of money. This was a good fight card. I really enjoyed it. But as far as the Apex, the weekend before, they were in, where were they? They were in like Nashville, and the arena was absolutely popping. And the fans were loving the event. I think that's what this sport should be about. It should be about the fans more so. So I hope they get out of the Apex. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, this was a good free fight card, though. It was nice to actually just relax, put on ESPN Plus, and just watch it on a nice big screen and enjoy it. That was, and it was a fun one. So we'll get straight to it. The UFC. So I don't know any of these. Is this the bottom of the card we have here?
Yeah, this is the first fight of the night was Josephine Nutson versus Julia Polostari.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Don't remember the next one really either.
I remember the next one.
China, Brazil.
Yeah.
Melcazel Costa.
Remember he took his back, and I'm pretty sure, was it a rear naked choke in the third round?
Third round, 1 minute 50 seconds. Not sure. I can't remember. Method submission. I don't know. I can't remember this one. Took his back. Well, I remember Weston Wilson. That's the next
Weston Wilson,
featherweight belt because he was a big
huge.
underdog, and it was a first round fast submission. So Weston Wilson, I think he was 0-2 or had a rough start in the UFC. I should have bet Weston Wilson. I did not bet Weston Wilson, and I did not win.
And he's American.
And
America.
yes. Carly Judice versus Gabriel Fernandez. I actually do remember this one.
It was sick. Judges got it wrong, though.
Yes. Well, yes, I agree. I think Carly Judice was coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Didn't watch her on there, but her striking, I think, she was tall, she was lengthy, she was crisp, she was in good shape. But Gabriela Fernandez, too, she came out for Brazilian women's flyweight. She came out ready for the fight, ready for war. She fatigued, but I mean, if you, gosh darn, you throw that many punches in that type of style of fight, I'd get tired too. So good.
I had Gabby winning the first round, just with power and volume. You know, she's a southpaw fighter, where Carly was a lot more technical, like in and out, high volume, not as much power. But I think just like as the fight went on, it favored Carly. The styles more. Gabby was like, she was depending on getting Carly out of there in the first round to win the fight, and when that didn't happen, it just became a very, very close fight. Like I said, I think the judges got that one wrong. I had round 2 and 3 for Carly, round 1 for Gabby.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure what the stats were exactly, but yes, and this is the Perez and Taira UFC fight card June 15th recap. And we're going to the prelim. Jimmy Flick versus Nate Maness. I remember this because Maness, I believe, had an incredible KO record, undefeated, I thought, and I believe a lot of first round, if not all first round KOs.
He's a 575 favorite too.
Huge favorite, and just didn't look as impressive as I thought. He was patient. He looked. You can tell he had some clean crisps. But I don't know, whatever it was. Jimmy Flick didn't really seem to give him problems per se, but just didn't really give him a target, I guess, is what that fight was all about, maybe.
I think Nate won that fight, and he wasn't stressed for a single moment in that fight.
Yeah, no.
It was a dominant victory, but it wasn't at the same time.
Yep.
Nate was never in trouble. He was in control the whole time. He's clearly the better striker, very fundamental, good striker. Jimmy had nothing for him. So it was, to me, it was a dominating performance by Nate. Kind of expected more. But still, when you dominate a UFC fight like that at this level, you're doing something right.
I feel like his next performance, he's going to feel a little bit of pressure just because he had a lot of hype, and this one didn't quite live up to him. Because that's not my prediction. I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. He's going to look at the film and probably just come back.
Who at flyweight you think would be a good matchup for him?
Nate Maness, an unranked flyweight.
Is he 3-0 or 4-0 now? Do we know his record?
I think that was his debut, if I believe so. But I don't know. It's tough to say with flyweights. The tops are good, but then you get a little lower, and those guys, yeah, it's hard to match up some of those
very
guys.
much a lightweight feature night, right? We had a lot of 125 pounders, a lot of 135 pounders.
You can. Who's the flyweight? You get the 6-foot flyweight. You know, we'll get to him a little later. Kazakhstan flyweight. You could do an alt. UFC sometimes loves doing the grappler versus striker matchups just to see whoever survives type of thing.
It sort of feels like the flyweight division is growing. Like I now know more of the top fighters in flyweight than I ever have before.
I think Brandon Moreno's easy to like, and the champion Pantoja, I think, has a great story. He's easy to like. And
Eric and Kai.
Yeah, you just got some fun flyweights. Who you just said Eric, he was the guy who just fought for the title.
He lost,
and so there's a lot of flyweights.
He's solid. He's going to get better.
I think the UFC might rush Nate Maness, but why not? I mean, why not? All right, let's go to the next one. Josh Quinlan,
from Eugene, Oregon.
Adam Fugit. I was kind of in and out there in this one, but yes, we are Oregonians.
I watched it all because he's from Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon, and it was good. It was a good one. It was scrappy. You know, it was frustrating a little bit.
It was, like I said when we were watching it, it was a mirror fight, right? To where they had similar styles, and it was like, I connect with a kick, one kick, I connect with one kick, I connect with one punch, the other guy connects with one punch. That's the first round. It was like, I think the strikes were 21-20 at the end of the first round. It was just a complete mirror. And then Adam just picked it up a little bit more in the second and the third, I thought. It was a good fight. A little boring at times because of the mirror style. But it was almost all kicks, like hardly any punches. I felt like.
Yeah, it was an interesting striking dynamic for sure. I'm gonna check on my camera.
I think like styles make fights, and that was just one of those fights where the styles kind of neutralized each other. I think, and the slightly better kickboxer won that fight, or like maybe the guy with slightly better cardio won that fight because the styles were so similar. Oh, the
Here's
next
a
one.
6-foot flyweight, Jose Johnson.
I couldn't believe a 6 foot flyweight.
That's 6 foot is
Huge.
125 pounds to make, and he didn't look as skinny as I actually thought he would for a 6 foot flyweight.
He looked huge.
He looked huge because he was fighting normally 5'3", 5'4" people. This Kazakhstan, Asu Al-Mabayev.
Very nice.
And he won. He used his wrestling very well. The distance. I thought Jose Johnson, apologies if I'm saying that incorrectly, did a good job with his length and striking. He looks like he has really good striking. But Azu just was a mixed martial artist. Found the ankle. Once the ankle was down, controlled, and then it was just cardio. And then he landed some impressive heel kicks. If you don't remember, or if you remember
Spinning
those,
back kick.
spinning back kicks. Yes,
spinning heel kick. Crazy.
Very impressive. So,
On a 5'4" person landing a spinning heel kick in a UFC fight on a 6 foot jaw is crazy.
So I mean, he could be Manus's next opponent. I like that too.
You cannot underestimate the Kazakhstanian people, for sure. I mean, they got heart. They're hilarious, and it's got to be such a small country, and to come from that place and represent like that in the UFC is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to say about that? That was a good, fun fight. Azu Kazakhstan won.
To me, what stood out the most was seeing the height difference, the size difference, and the thing about MMA is like a power or explosiveness or a big height difference can be neutralized when you're on the ground, right? So you take away the reach. The reach doesn't matter when you're on top of somebody, in their guard. Didn't he land a deep triangle? Yeah, he landed a deep triangle on the first Jose on him, and I thought it was done. I mean, the guy's legs were huge, and he had that triangle synced in, but somehow Azu got out of it and won the fight. It was an exciting fight for sure.
Yep, and a guy to watch out for, no doubt. All right, bantamweight. We got Brady Heiston and Garrett Armfield. Now, this was a fantastic fight, if I believe so.
Dude, talk about deep submissions, man. Both these guys looked like they were dead in the water, stuck in some deep, deep submissions, and both of them somehow got out of it.
Yeah, it was a back and forth. It was, it was like a submission, like you said. It wasn't really knockdowns or hurting him on the feet. It was just good mixed martial arts on the feet, and then just almost back and forth submissions.
I thought maybe that Garrett hurt him in the second or the first, though, with like a 1-2 that was solid, and that led to like some ground time. And then and then I think there was a deep submission, and then Brady overcame it and actually came back. Right. And I think he's gotten a few 3-round finishes in the UFC now. I thought he said that in his post-fight interview, maybe.
Yeah.
That was crazy entertaining. I thought the fight was done multiple times just for the guys to survive. I don't think they won performance of the night. Yeah, they got a performance of the night bonus.
Wow, 135.
I thought so.
Yeah,
the girls. Wasn't it Gabby versus, or did they not get the fight of the night?
I think they did too, if I remember. I think it was both of those. If you wanted to check real quick. They got the fight of the night.
Yeah.
Carly, Judy.
So performance of the night went to High Stand. Oh yeah, performance of the night went to High Stand. Fight of the night went to Gabby and Carly.
Timmy Kwamba versus Lucas Almeida, featherweight 145. I think what was the 3-round unanimous decision?
I'm having a tough time remembering this one
for Lucas Almeida. Yeah, you know what? I can't really remember too much. I think it was just I don't know. We'll have to rewatch that one or look that one up.
We definitely watched it.
If somebody says we really missed out on that one for some reason, not remembering it, then remind us. But
the odds were pretty close.
Looked like it was odds unanimous. Maybe Lucas just kind of overwhelmed him. Not quite. I can't remember, but All right, we'll go to the next one now. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Miles
Yes,
Jones.
Miles Johns versus Douglas
Oh,
Silva de
that's right,
Andrade.
Johns.
Douglas C. Day, later 30s, UFC
37.
veteran, bantamweight 135, fought the who's who of who. Looked like he's
Shredded.
way older, but he looked great shape.
Crazy shape.
But his striking looked great. He looked like a fantastic mixed martial arts experience. I mean, well rounded. Definitely a top 15 in the world in the UFC for sure. And Miles Johns, who striker, boxer a bit, and really heavy on that right hand, which you could tell every time it landed, it stumbled Douglas Silva de Andrade back a few times. And then Johns got more aggressive, which is good. Sometimes when you have those hesitant one striker or big power guys, and when you need them to turn it up, they don't. Johns, I thought, did, and it won him a unanimous decision.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Johns can do in bantamweight. It's a stacked division. It looks strong and powerful. I don't know his takedown defense if it's really been tested too much, but that would be the big thing for him. Is he's a sprawl and brawl and hope to knock you out type of fighter. I don't know if he can be outpointed in the higher level of the bantamweight. There's the IQ of the top 15 in bantamweight is crazy, and styles make fights. So he's got an interesting style. He's a really good size for bantamweight. It'll be curious to keep an eye on him and see if he can make a run at bantamweight. If he can string a couple knockouts together, he might be able to crack the top 15. But definitely somebody to watch for. The odds were pretty even going into it. Yeah, I thought Douglas Silva, he brought the fight. It was entertaining for sure.
Yeah,
So I can see how you could be super hesitant fighting Johns, but he wasn't.
yeah.
He tried to push the action, which I appreciated from like a fan entertainment perspective for sure.
Yeah, so John's bantamweight. I mean, we have some fun bantamweights, so you can match him up with a lot of different guys, and
I love the bantamweight division.
that was the co-main. So now you got Alex Perez, who was number 5 ranked flyweight, 125 pounds, versus a guy who I thought was, before watching the fight, I thought he had a lot of hype, and I thought he was a guy to watch out for sure. Tatsuro Taira, which I love the name. This was my first. Both of our. You fell asleep.
Didn't watch it.
You didn't watch this one. This was my first time watching Taira. Perez, this was his second fight in 7 weeks, I believe. So active, from what I understand. He was number 5 for a reason. He was beating a lot of good people. He was back on a good track. And Taira, he was 5 fights in the UFC, I believe. Started at the age of 24. Now he's 26, so he's averaging around 2 to 3 fights a year. Pretty active. And right away, it was a good first. Taira uses his length, his jab, his 1-2 really well, and Perez was aggressive. He was throwing bunches and bunches and landing successfully. Like we said kind of afterward, all 3 of the judges had Perez winning the first round. It was close for sure. I don't know if I had Perez. I'd have to watch it one more time, but I wouldn't argue Perez didn't win those first rounds at all. And then Taira there was eye pokes. There was some weird stuff that I wish was a little cleaner. But Taira eventually kind of used what he did best, and which is his Japanese jiu-jitsu that he started at the age of 7, they said. Taira used his body triangle, and he did that crazy, which we talked about a lot, the moving your hips and your momentum and leaning all the way back on a body triangle, using that as a weapon. And Perez busted his knee on one of those kind of body triangle takedowns in the second round. Unfortunate ending. And that was kind of the ending. My dad and I watched it. We remember very, very impressed with Taira. His body triangle grapple thing, if you, it's kind of hard to explain, but on the feet, standing, body triangle, kind of using that as a weapon, grabbing his arm. It was something he hadn't seen before, and it was very impressive. You don't see stuff you don't see before in the UFC. I'm very hyped on Taira. I think he's going to be the champion by the end of 2025. I mean, I think he maybe 2024. No, probably 2025. But I think he belongs in the top 5, and he may lose on the way there. Maybe he could see him having a little setback, but I think if he his grappling is incredible. If you watch any of his other fights, you take him down, he's up in 10 seconds, and if he takes you down, you're really in deep waters. So I think if he gets people down, anybody is in trouble. But he's got some vulnerabilities too.
And you could do a really good impression of his post fight.
Oh,
Can you do it for us?
no, I think the cool thing about that is he does it on his own, and it's his thing. And if you watch it, his post fights, he's very happy. That's what he says. I won't do the impression.
Whose was better, Rosa Junior's or Uzumaki Taira?
It's Tatsuro Taira. I don't remember.
His nickname's Uzumaki, and
Is it Uzumaki?
Yeah, after Naruto Uzumaki, from the Hidden Leaf Village.
I can't tell if you're serious. I don't think you are. One of the tough guys actually has an anime one or
Oh yeah, no, he has the seal, the demon seal.
The demon seal.
Oh, it's so hard. Oh,
Naruto.
there's some crazy anime tattoos out there on fighters right now.
Back on track. Tatsuro Taira, sorry. Yeah, he looks a little. He looks nice on his feet, but a little raw. He gets caught a little bit. You can tell his comfortability is on the ground. It's like I said. He's on a completely another level. So He just beat the number 5 guy. It was an injury, but if you beat the number 5 guy, and I think it was gonna end that way sooner than later anyway, then you deserve to be in the top 5, and you deserve to fight some of the top 5 guys.
I didn't watch the fight live, but I watched it back the next morning. Curious that the judges had the first round to Alex Perez. A lot of fight fans seem to have the first round to Alex Perez. It was definitely a close first round. I get styles make fights, and that Taira looked unfazed in the first round, but the strikes were pretty close. And then, like Steele said here, the interesting move on the back with the body lock, with wrapping the leg behind the knee, and then jerking to the opposite side as you're trying to put pressure on the knee to try to get a takedown. That's pretty cool. We hadn't seen that before, so I get why there was a lot of hype behind this guy's doing new stuff in the UFC, and it's very exciting. These guys were trying to tell me that he could beat Mighty Mouse right now. I don't know about that. I got to see him fight more. But the 125 division is getting exciting, so it's pretty cool to have guys like this come in and do new things. And he's 24 years young. Yeah. I think the Uzumaki nickname is well deserved. We'll see what he can do in the future.
He's undefeated, so he's got that undefeated aura. I may have jumped the gun with Mighty Mouse. Aura. I haven't seen Mighty Mouse fight in a very long time. The fact that Tatsuro Taira is 5'7", 125. Mighty Mouse is 5'3", 5'4". Has very clean striking, but it's just Taira is another breed when it comes to the jiu-jitsu, the Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I think we're going to see that at very high levels. I think he's going to, in my prediction, he's going to embarrass a very, very high level, whether it's a former champion or the current champion, I think in a first round, second round dominant fashion, and then people will start talking about him. But for now, we can talk about him now as a prospect and a fun guy to watch.
I wonder what his favorite anime is.
I don't know. We're gonna have to have him on the podcast and ask him at some point.
I bet that there's an interview.
Okay, well, let's rate this fight card. Free. I'm gonna do a category to free fight cards and pay-per-view. I like that a little different because they do have a little different feels. Pay-per-view is a lot faster. There's not commercials really. There's more promos
and it costs a fortune. So you
costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it should be held to a different standard.
Free is the best price. It's a little slower. It doesn't have the best fighters, but sometimes it's about matchups. It's about prospects. This one, I think, smaller fighters and fights maybe don't get as much publicity or exposure as the bigger guys. But these guys were fun. They were great. A lot of good guys. So let's go 3 stars and 3 duds. That's what we're going to rank it as for a free fight card. I don't know if you want to start. I got to actually think about it a little bit. I'm trying to compare it to something else.
So there was 6 fights on the main card, and just obviously I fell asleep before the main event. Gervonta Davis was also fighting that night, and that was a terrific boxing fight. I wouldn't have mind streaming the boxing fight at the same time this fight card was going on. To me, I think this free fight card, 2.5 roses for me.
Roses? Stars?
No roses.
2.5 stars.
2.5 out of 3 roses to this fight night. It was entertaining. I think just a little long, and I think there was some bad judging, but there's almost always bad judging these days. I think they gotta get out of the apex, and it adds a whole other energy and excitement to these fights when you have a live audience there watching it. That's bigger than the apex. So that's why it's 2.5 stars. Super entertaining. But like I said, fell asleep before the main event, and I was trying to stay up to watch it, but a little long.
Wow. All right. Well, you are a lot kinder than I am. I don't think I could ever give a card that had a main event in an injury above two stars, not roses. But overall, very fun. I think if you have a woman's fight of the night, and early prelims, and then you have pretty much entertaining all main event or main card, I'd give it a solid 2. I'd say 2 is great, 2 stars, and that's really good. I think between top to bottom, I think it was entertaining all the way. It was one where you weren't quite sure if you wanted to leave. You could left sometimes, but it kept you entertained. And I think that's 2 out of 3 for a free fight night is well done. You could have had it like in a bigger place. You could have had that atmosphere. But overall, as far as fighters and fighter performances, it was good. Real quick, let's go to the next fight card and just talk about that one. I feel like we've been talking forever, but we'll see who's up next. We'll talk about that, if it's worth talking about, if it's worth saying anything, if it's pay-per-view, if it's free.
Is there a new fight night? Another fight night before 303?
I want to say
no. It's 303. Oh no, Whitaker versus
Aliskerov.
Oh,
that's not fight night. No.
Let's go, Bobby Knuckles, dude. Yeah, that's fight night.
That's fight night.
Oh, and then
that's right.
No,
so
wait. This has to be pay-per-view.
Yeah.
No, it's not. 303 is the next pay-per-view.
This is a free fight card. Whitaker, Saturday, June in Saudi Arabia. Is that right? Is this correct?
This is the next one. Yeah. And then it's I don't know why the UFC schedule looks like this, but Whitaker, this is the next one.
Wow. Okay. Well, so if you don't know, Aliskerov is a middleweight. He's an up-and-comer. I don't know how many UFC fights he has. 1, 2, 3. He looks like he's a little bit of the underdog. He's from Russia, so he's a heavier Russian style fighter.
Oh, wow. Johnny Walker versus
wow.
There's no way this is free.
Yeah. Is it 302?
Nope, watch ESPN Plus. That's the prelims.
That's prelims. But is this 302?
I don't know. Are they really going to have 302 and 303?
ABC and ESPN Plus. Wow.
Free.
Wow. Okay, we're going to get spoiled.
Fight
Well, this one might be a 3-star. Wow. Okay.
What time does it start? Oh, it starts at
9 a.m. is when the prelims start. Saturday, June 22nd, for those that are listening early. So it's in Saudi Arabia.
Dude, Nazareth?
Well, let's go through this.
Versus Jared Gordon?
Let's go through these a little bit.
Nicholas Dalby?
We'll start at let's go to the early prelims. If you don't know, early prelims are the fights before the prelims, which are kind of the leads up to the leads up to the main
bantamweight.
All right, so let's start bantamweight. Here, we just got the lightweights, so these guys should be on our radar for potential bantamweights. That's Johns we just talked about, and
China versus South Korea.
So Long, I'm going to say his last name, from China, and Lee from South Korea. And the odds are even. Don't know him. Light heavyweight. Don't know him. I don't even know the country that is. Actually, that's embarrassing.
Which one?
Go down to Magomed. Bahrain versus Brazil. But Bahrain.
You don't know Bahrain?
You tell me something. Tell me 2 things about Bahrain.
That guy is from Bahrain, and their flag is red.
Yeah, well, that's 2. 2 for 2. You got me. You know more. Well, I probably knew that as well. But anyway, bantamweight. We got South Korea 135 versus Tajikistan.
I feel like I've seen this guy fight before.
Another fun bantamweights. I'm hyped on the bantamweight now. I don't know these guys. Well, keep them on a radar. Welterweights. Russia, Denmark. Nicholas Dalby, veteran, been around forever. I don't know Renat.
This guy's got one of those beards, Russian beards.
Yeah,
the
he looks
mustaches,
good. But Dalby looks nice. He looks like he's got some tattoos that are going on.
Felipe Lima. I feel like I just watched Felipe Lima fight.
Yeah, I think so too. Featherweight, even odds versus Tajikistan. So you're getting a lot of European fighters in Saudi Arabia.
Nazra. Who did he lose to recently? I feel like
Morocco. Jared Gordon, lightweight, 155. Hey, that's a good question.
How do you say his last name? Nazrat Haparast?
Hakparast.
Hakaparast?
I guess.
Haparast? You seen Nazrat fight, right? I feel
I
like
don't. He did not ringing a bell, but maybe if I saw a highlight or something right
hmm.
away. Jared Gordon, of course. He's been around forever. All right, we're getting into this is the main card now, right? Or is this the prelims? That was the prelims. This is the main card.
Ozdemir
So you
time.
got Volkan Ozdemir up and down in his last 3-4 years. Recent memory, he got knocked out by Yuri.
This is one of those fights, I think, like the Kelvin Gastelum, Daniel Rodriguez fight, that like if one of these guys loses, man, like it's just bad news for their UFC career.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
near, like they could be near the end of their career,
Well,
if not the
Johnny
end.
is still entertaining a little young. Johnny
Dude,
Walker. He'll be a journeyman. He'll be a fun guy. But Vulcan, yeah, you might have to start
I
thinking about
don't see this fight
straight
going the
through him.
distance. I
No,
feel like somebody's getting knocked out because these guys got maybe they can do got power and they're near the ends of their careers. They've had bad knockouts in the past. Maybe their chins are a little weathered. So I don't think that fight goes the distance. I think somebody gets knocked out, and I think whoever gets knocked out, it's tough getting that back in the top 15 after that for him. But we'll see.
well, let's put a. I think Johnny Walker gets it done. Uh, that's my prediction.
Yeah.
All right, middleweight. Shara, the movie star Magomedov versus Antonio Tricoli.
Is this his second UFC fight?
I think this is his second UFC fight.
He made his debut.
Shara is from Russia. He has one eye, which sparked a little controversy just in the fact that nobody thought it was legal that you could fight with one eye. It was a Bisping thing. He put a glass eye in. He pretended to have two eyes, and so he could fight. But I'm not quite sure. I don't know the rules on if you want to fight and you have one eye, if you allow one-armed fighters.
Is that really what it is? He doesn't have an eye.
His eyes, yeah, he's blind. He's legally blind out of one eye. It's glassed. It's like way glassed over. And he just
Does he have a glass eye?
no. It's not a glass eye. It's just blind. And he announced he got cast as a movie villain in a movie.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know the name of it or the quality in it, but he is a big favorite, and he is a prospect. This Antonio Tricoli looks ripped, and he's from Brazil. So fun fight to watch. But Shara seems like the real deal.
I heard he might have got in trouble with the law a little bit. Shara.
How so?
Like maybe like some domestic abuse stuff, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that, or maybe it was something worse. I was just reading about this, maybe. But
Well, I think Dana always says when Greg Hardy and them, this is a sport where you can watch people you don't like get the crappy out of them. So there you go.
yeah.
All right, middleweights. This is a middleweight.
Yeah.
Oh, good, because I was just hearing he was having trouble making weight, and so he's having trouble making middleweight. Kelvin is the rumor, but anyway, Kelvin Gastelum, former tough Ultimate Fighter winner, hyped. He knocked out Michael Bisping, he knocked out Tim Kennedy, beat so many people, and then he's kind of gone through the ups and downs since his his interim title fight with Adesanya, where it was a 5-round absolute war. If that would be one of my fights to recommend to people if you've never seen or you want to watch UFC or mixed martial arts, Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya, middleweight, 185 pounds. Kelvin, I can't remember. He's been losing. That's what I know. I remember he maybe won at welterweight, and then lost again. Now he's back in middleweight. It looks like Daniel Rodriguez. He's been kind of up and down.
To somebody.
Ian Gary or
did he lose? Yeah, I think he lost to Ian Gary.
but this is middleweight.
that?
This is interesting because yeah.
Who was it?
Daniel Rodriguez, but he's a good striker. This will be on the feet, I think, a lot. I think there'll be some grappling moments, but it'll be a banger. They have Kelvin has some pretty good odds, but
I hope Kelvin wins. I don't want to see Kelvin get cut. He's from a
I like Daniel Rodriguez, but I have history watching Kelvin since the tough, so it's always fun to root for Kelvin Gastelum. All right, heavyweight. We're getting into the heavyweights, and we got Sergey Pavlovich, which I don't know if you've seen the pictures.
He looks huge.
Holy cow!
Huge.
It's like Tom Aspinall knocked him into some sort of Rocky IV laboratory in Russia.
Yeah,
and not that I'm saying he's on anything. Not that he's not he's not Ivan Drago, but he's huge. He's humongous. He looks great. He looks motivated. I was scared. I was scared just looking at the picture. And he's fighting, I believe, 6'7", 6'8" Alexander Volkov, so number 3, who background. It was gonna be a Pavlovich. Tom Aspinall type of a run for the next reign of title, and he got knocked out by Englishman, heavy-handed, fast Tom Aspinall. And Alexander Volkov, he just seems like he's been kind of up and down, but he's on a surge right now, I believe. So
We got some Russian on Russian violence. There's a lot of Russians on this fight card too.
well,
I mean, there's a lot of Russians in the UFC.
yeah,
in
yeah,
general.
Saudi Arabia, early. So that's why this must be free. I'm my guess.
Yeah.
Just give a free Saudi Arabia crowd on that side. Maybe it is pay per view. I don't know how that works. I don't
I
know.
think this was gonna be Kazmat or Hazmat.
Yes, this was going to be Hazmat Shamaev.
It's crazy. This was a free fight card. This is such a good fight card.
All right, let's go move on. We're going to move quick. Robert Whitaker, the headliner, Bobby Knuckles, the one and only legend, versus Ikram Adesanya. We talked about it just right now, but Ikram stepped up. It was supposed to be Hazmat Shamaev, who everybody loves to see. Fights at middleweight, fights at welterweight. He just fought Mara Usman in a 3-round in war. I actually did not watch that one, but I watched it back, or I don't watch it live anyway.
Usman on short notice.
On short notice, but he war with Gilbert Burns, fun guy, fell ill, and Bobby Knuckles, who I think his last fight was Secret Juice Palacosta.
He beat
Palacosta in a good 3-round decision, but he lost to Dricus du Duplessis, which is the middleweight champion right now, in a first or second round KO. You were kind of worried his chin might not be there, or maybe this was his time, and he had a great showing against Palacosta, and he's been kind of, at least besides Israel Adesanya and Duplessis, can't think of any guy he's lost to in the middleweight division. At least on the top of my head.
No, Bobby's top, dude. Bobby's a top guy. He's got to be top 3, top 4 most likable.
But the scary
UFC
thing
fighters.
is, or not, I don't know if it's scary, but the odds, he's hardly a favorite.
Yeah.
Ikram, who I don't know how many UFC fights he has. I've seen his highlights of some scary knockouts, 1-2s. If he is as scary as a lot of the lighter weight Russians are, and he has some heavy hands at 185 pounds, it could be very fun. I'm rooting for Bobby. I'm a Bobby fan. Want him to be around as much as possible. A lot of fun matchups. And but we get to see Ikram in a 5-round main event headlining in Saudi Arabia. It's going to, experience-wise, it's going to be great for him either way. If he wins, it's going to be absolutely astronomical for his career. And if he loses, he loses. And he has that main event experience. Okay, well, that is next. This is this Saturday. If I get this edited and published in time and up, which I could. All right. That is it. I was going to go over 2 events, but this was way longer than I thought for sure. Good testing sound. That's the end of our first episode. I don't know if we have the name officially for it. But Steelhaugen, passion for sports coverage for 6 years in smaller capacities. And then Clint Haugen, some mixed martial arts trainer, and yeah, just 2 guys passionate about the sport. And we'll hopefully do some other episodes. We do William these quicker than later. We could talk NBA finals. If not, we could keep doing UFCs year round. I wish I knew more about hockey and golf, but maybe we'll have some guests on that can talk about stuff at some point. But for now, we are signing off.